Hey guys, Lazy Man here. Hey, today is the first video of many to come on the highly anticipated Corsair build, aka Skull Crusher. Anyway, there's quite a few mods that we're going to be doing to this build, and hopefully if time permits I can actually do videos on each and every mod. But anyway, let me just give you a brief overview of the mods I have planned at this time, and then today we'll be looking at how to install a 240 rad at the bottom of this case. Alright? Alright guys, as you can see here, I went ahead and stripped this down to pretty much just the chassis. I went ahead and removed the case feet here at the bottom. Also I went ahead and removed the front panel, and then taken out the 3 fans that come with the case. There was one here as an exhaust, there's one mounted on the bottom, and then the one here on the hard drive cage. So anyway, the mods that we have planned at this time, the first one is we're going to take a 360 rad and go ahead and mount that here. A lot of people have done that. But what we're going to do different, instead of just running a single push or pull fan, we're going to run this in a push-pull configuration. And what we're going to do is here at the top, we're going to mount 3 fans up here, 320 millimeter fans. And I believe I'm going to cut out this mesh. I know this doesn't restrict a lot of air, but I think to help so there's no restriction, I don't think we need this. We'll cut out this mesh and then mount our 3 fans here. And originally I was going to build a shroud around the fans to cover them up. We were looking at Coulance's 360 rad cover, and we think that's going to look pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and mount that here on the top. And then have our 3 fans up here, our radiator, and then our 3 fans below that. Again, in a push-pull configuration. The other mod that we have is there's a 140 millimeter fan here that actually, when it arrived from Corsair, they have the fan blowing air into the hard drives, which is a good thing, but they have a cover here that goes over that fan. And I'm trying to figure out how this actually is able to pull, cool fresh air across the hard drive with this cover here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the side panel, we're going to leave the fan there. Actually, we're going to change the fan out for a red LED 120 millimeter fan, so they match all the other fans. But we're going to leave that there on the front panel here. We're going to cut a 120 millimeter hole right here, and then we're going to go ahead and mount one of these. So that'll stay within our Skull Crusher theme. And then to allow good airflow is on the back side here, on the side panel, we're going to cut another 120 millimeter hole, and again mount another one of these. So what that's going to allow is for cool air to come in, cool the hard drives, and then exit out the back. So I think that's going to be a lot more efficient than what they have designed. The other mod that we have is on the front bezel here. We're going to take again one of these Skull fan grills, and we're going to mount that right here on this front door. So that ought to look pretty good. I'm debating whether I paint these red or if we just leave them black. And on this one here, we're going to have standoffs, so this thing stands proud of the door. And I've debated about running LED lights back there, but with this being a black plexi, I'm not sure if that would work. So it's probably not going to be illuminated. It may be red, it may be black, but we are going to mount it here on the door. Alright? And then for the mod that we're going to be looking at today, is we're going to take the 240 rad, and we're going to mount this down here on the bottom. And I know there's quite a few, or actually there's a couple that I've seen, how-tos on some of the forums. But if you're like me, it's easier for me to see a video on how to do it than it is to actually read it and try to fill in the blanks. So what I'm going to do is try to show you as much as I can within a reasonable amount of time on how to remove this hard drive cage here, how to set up and prep the area and lay out for your holes here, and actually mount this here on the bottom. So anyway, let me get set up and we'll take a look at that. Alright guys, the first thing that we need to do is remove these hot swappable connections. Now they're only held on with 4 screws, so that should be pretty simple. If you don't want to remove them, just make sure you cover them up with tape. You know, we definitely don't want no metal shavings, you know, on those. The other thing that we need to do is we look here at the bottom. You know, there's a plastic track here, and there's also one here at the top. And the top one's not going to affect us, but the bottom one, for us to fit the rad in here, we need to remove this. Now these are here because there's a plastic cover that goes over here. If you were to mount hard drives in here, this would cover up all the cables. But anyway, there's one single screw here on the bottom of the case that holds this on, and then on this side there's a clip. So once you take the screw off, that should fall off pretty easy. The other thing that we need to do is we look at the front of the case here. Once you remove the bezel, you'll notice that there's several rivets here holding on the hard drive cage. There's two here, two on this side. So we definitely need to remove those two. And then my understanding is if you remove the top two that actually are not attached to the hard drive cage, what it will do is actually give you a little more slack so that you can pull the hard drive cage out. So anyway, we're going to definitely remove those four, and if we need to, we'll remove the top two. If you remove these two, you want to go ahead and replace those after you pull out the hard drive cage. Now there's two more rivets that we need to pull out, and they're a little more difficult to get to. So let me flip the case over and we'll take a look at them. Okay, if we look inside the hard drive cage itself, you can see over here there's a rivet there, and then there's another one here on this side here. Now I haven't decided what's the best way to get those out, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Alright, so I'll go ahead and remove the hot swappable connections and that bracket at the bottom, and then I'll show you guys how to take the rivets out. Alright guys, you can see I have the case upside down, and I do stand corrected. The track that was here on the top, and remember the case is upside down, so this was the top track, does have to be removed. It did interfere with pulling the hard drive cage out. So again, no big deal, one screw, and that came right out. Alright, so let's go ahead and drill out the rivets, which I've already drilled out the first two. We'll take a look here. Went ahead and drilled out this one and this one here. And I'm just going to show you real quick how to drill out these two here. Let me back this up a little bit more. This is pretty simple. Most of you guys drilled out rivets before, but for those that haven't, this will be a real quick guide. Anyway, you want to use a 1/8 inch drill bit, and pretty much you're just going to drill out the center of the front of the rivet, and it's pretty simple. So we'll go ahead and drill this first one out. Okay, I've noticed that these rivets, they're actually, because they're aluminum, they're not drilling out all the way. They actually start spinning. So once you drill it, the top will come off, and then you just take a punch, and you can actually push this through, and then that'll come out. All right, let's try this one here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but the top of the rivet is just spinning in place. So, alright, so there's those four. Alright, let's go ahead, before we remove the two down here, let's go ahead and try to tackle the tough ones, and then see if this thing will slide out. So let me get set up for that. Alright guys, I've got the camera set up so you could see me try to remove these. And what I've decided, I think the best way is to use a Dremel and try to just grind down the back side of that rivet. And we're going to use either one or both of these bits here. I don't know if you guys can see them very well. But anyway, let's go ahead and try the first one. Alright guys, as you can see, it's going to take a while here, so we're going to go ahead and continue working on that, pull the other one out. Alright guys, as you can see, I got this first rivet out, and I did end up switching bits, and I don't know if that helped, but I got it down flush with the parent metal there, and then what I had to do was take a center punch and then actually punch that through. You know, just a little bit of hand force and it went right through. So anyway, no big deal. What happens is there's a rubber gasket, or about a half-inch rubber gasket between this hard drive cage and the hard drive cage right above it. And you could remove the hard drive cage above it and then the 5 1/4 bay housing and then have drilled those out. But looking at what you would have to do to actually remove those two cages, you would actually have to take out all the rivets on the front side. So I'm thinking this may be the easiest way. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and take care of the other one over here. Right here, and then as soon as I get it down flush, I'll show you how easy it is to pop that out. Alright? Alright guys, as you can see, I got that pretty much flush there. Corsair did us a good job here, because for us to remove those, or that rivet there, you can see, let me put this up here, there's a cable management hole right here where I can actually take my Dremel and stick it right in there and get to that one. So anyway, we just need a little bit more, and then I think we can pop that one out. So let's see if we can get this adjusted again. Alright, so turn on my Dremel here. We're almost flush. There's just a little bit left in the back there, and I had to switch bits again because this smaller bit actually gets closer to the side of it. Alright, I think that's it. So let's go ahead and try our punch and see if it comes out. So the last one, I just had to put it on there and then push on it and it came right out. Let's hope this is the same. Yeah, so that came right out. Hope you guys were able to see that. Alright, I'm going to try to pull this cage out now and see if we have any luck. Okay, it's definitely snagging on something. Let me take a look here. Alright, there turns out to be, let me move this camera so you guys can see. Now I'm not sure if this is going to be the only thing that we need to do, but you guys can see in there, let me zoom in a little bit. Alright, there's a screw head, right, or actually the threads of a screw that's actually blocking this from sliding out. So I think if we just remove the screw from the other side, this screw right here, I think if we remove that, we should be in good shape. Let me grab my driver. Alright, let's see if this thing comes out now. Alright guys, as you can see, I went ahead and got them out. It did take a little persuasion, and they actually come out in two separate pieces. So I didn't have to remove the other rivets, and whether that would make it easier or not, you know, I'm not 100% sure, but you can see that they're still there. Anyway, just a little bit of persuasion, take your time, you should be able to get it. So anyway, what I'm going to do is go ahead and clean this up, and then we'll go ahead and start laying out for the rad. Okay? Be back with you in a moment.